Another day, another dev diary, and this is the big one. The ultimate country in Hearts of Iron 4. That's right, Belgium, baby! Belgium! Alright, let's get into the good stuff. First, this massive focus tree. Look at that. Look at how thick this boy... Well, that's also a thick boy. Let's go back. There we go. Yeah, this is a pretty massive focus tree. A lot of it's blurred, but as far as I can tell, doesn't seem to be the historical or ahistorical branch, because this seems to be... Yeah, okay, so this is politics, all of it. No, wait. Right side seems to be industry, more or less. Yeah, as far as I can tell, this is industry. And then down the center here, this is politics, and here is the ahistorical path under Leon de Grelle and Van der Velde. So this leads to communism, fascismus, and democracy. Haven't found a monarchist path yet, but I will. And then there is this bit here, more industry, and all of this is blurred out and hidden. I can only assume this has something to do with the dev diary that we still have to see. So, distinct lack of Congo means this might just be like something to do with the colonial holdings. All right, not bad. We got an air branch, we got a naval branch, we got stuff to work with. Let's see if they do my country justice. And it starts off strong with a man in a hat, as all things do. Paul van Zeeland, hilariously corrupt politician. So you know he's a really good one. We have a bunch of extra national spirits. We have a sizable army, if that's the starting army for Belgium. Yeah, Belgium's strong. It looks interesting. Let's see what those national spirit... Oh, yeah, that's not good. Oh, no. Right, scars of World War I. Accurate. Corruption. Well, yeah, politics is as politics does. Economic downturn. So all in all, my country's not in good shape. Language barriers. For those of you who don't know, Belgium is multilingual, and the different parts don't really see eye to eye on many things. It leads to complicated politics. And then the Chasseurs Ardennais, more than just a meme, they were an actual military formation who performed very well with their tank destroyers. Yes, they had tank destroyers, but not the massive ones you picture like a Jagdtiger. Nothing like that. Anyway, there are obviously ways to fix all the horrors here through focuses. Yeah, that looks like Van Zeeland's hat being stomped. Okay, so the man will have to go for to fix our politics. And then neutrality. Yeah, that worked out very well for us. Yeah. Okay. Ooh, military branch seems to be very focused on forts and defenses. Very accurate. The National Redoubt at Antwerp was to be the main fallback position for the Belgian army, from where it was to be the linchpin of Belgian defense, along with the fortifications of Liège. Then you had the Ibn Emal Fortress, one of the most extensive fortifications of Western Europe. It fell in a day through sheer incompetence. The Belgian gates, the Iron Wall. So all of this seems to be very focused on just making Belgium a tough nut to crack. So I hope they give Germany the tools to crack that nut, because newer players already have trouble dealing with Belgium once the Allies arrive. So hopefully something is given to Germany to deal with this. Koningshout Wavre line, so this is the KW line, defensive line along the Albert Canal, flooded tank barriers. Either this is gonna be, well, the Albert Canal, which was essentially a massive tank barrier, or this is meant to be something to slow tanks down, give them a combat modifier. And judging by the icon of damn the consequences, methinks we're flooding our country again. Good. Yeah, it looks like Belgium will have some tools to work with to at least give you a fighting chance, considering we got a lot of negatives to work with. Speaking of a fighting chance, yes. So this seems to be focused on the army branch. I have a feeling we're gonna get a strong focus on special forces, considering resist and bite the Belgian special forces and interpreters. This branch seems to be very much devoted to the Belgian special forces. Fun fact, one of the key contributors to the British SAS were Belgian units. FN Herstal, Poudrerie Réunion de Belgique. This is all very focused on the Belgian defense industrial complex. We may not have been the size of the German or the American one, but Belgium did have a competent and advanced military industry in FN Herstal, which is still one of the leading small arms producers in the world, and the Minerva car company who made armored cars, as well as the Poudry ammunition production. So Belgium was well industrialized. It had a competent military. It had the tools. It just failed to use them properly. Not if I have anything to say about this. So judging by this, we have I can make this work. Now I do hope they don't make Belgium incredibly overpowered like they did with some of the Latin American countries or some of the Baltics. It's already one of the most powerful nations on earth, so it would be a bit much. But in all seriousness, if the numbers on these focuses are realistic and somewhat toned down, this looks very nice. I mean, this is very flavorful, very accurate historically, more or less. I'm quite happy with this. Speaking of things I'm happy with, monetary policy, which has historically been a problem in my country, but this is part of the industry branch, and you can see it very much focuses on Cockerill and the coal mines. Belgium at the time was very focused on heavy industry. The steel industry, Société Cockerill Sarin, was the heart of Belgian steel, with coal naturally being required. So Belgium had a strong economy built on that heavy industry. They were an exporter of trains. The engine of the economy were literally train exports to other industrialized nations. And it's a fun little nod to the, doesn't seem too egregious. Even if all these are 70 days, they're not, the tree is not massive, so you don't feel like you're missing out too much, I think. I do hope they're shorter than that, but if this is it, it's okay. You're not having to make too many choices to still get something out of it. The Belgian Air Force, or should I say Chair Force? Haha. No, seriously. Belgian Air Force at the time was not great. In fact, the majority of Belgian airplanes were destroyed in the first raid on airports by the Luftwaffe, so we did really poorly. We shot down one. We have one recorded air kill for the entirety of the 18 days campaign, so that was, yeah, well, we tried. It is what it is, but Belgium does not have to be that incompetent. No, we can develop an actual air industry. We did have some airplane designers who had some ideas. What if they were able to put them into business, put them to work? We have Renard, who historically designed the first all-metal airplane, I believe. Stampe and Vertongen. These are real companies, real people from Belgium with ideas, and this is just a what if they were actually realized. One of those big what ifs is early helicopters. Fun fact, one of the first dual rotor designs for a helicopter came from a Belgian. Several designs were made, and naturally in the period between 1939 and 1945, development was somewhat halted because we were occupied. But yeah, this looks like we'll have access to helicopters, so I'm here for it. And another branch of the Belgian military that did not do particularly well was the Navy, because we didn't have one. Fun fact, Belgium got ships from World War I. As part of the payments by the German Empire, Belgium got a portion of the High Seas Fleet, which we then in 27, I believe, scrapped and sold, because holding on to a navy is expensive and we need money for other things. So Belgium had literally no navy. Now, fortunately, that does not necessarily have to be a problem in-game, because we will have access to this tree to simulate the fact that Belgium does have a strong maritime tradition. They've gone bankrupt since. We had very large, very capable shipyards around Antwerp. The port itself was and still is a massive supply hub of the world, and shipbuilding could be done there, was done there for a very long time. And using this tree, we will be able to conjure up something of a navy from nothing. So I am very excited to play my Belgium naval game. Knowing the game, it's always easier to just steal someone else's navy, but I'm glad they put some thought into this, and this is not just some fanciful fiction, because this could happen. Belgium did have a shipbuilding industry. It just wasn't used for military ships. And now, politics. Everyone loves politics. Isn't that what unites us all? So the historical branch, ahistorical branch, many different options here. Judging by what I can see from the icons, this seems to be historical. This all seems to be ahistorical, with this being fascism and this being communism, and this being like a historical democracy. Let's see what they have to say for themselves. So everything starts with the government resigning. There's just too much corruption. Everyone can understand a little bit of corruption, but this was too much corruption, so the man with the hat has to go. And then things start. Either we form a government of national unity leading to the democratic path, or, well, potential alternative paths, or we go with the Van der Velde minority, which is a minority government run by the Socialist Party, and that will immediately start leaning more towards the left. Belgium did have a communist party, but it was never really that powerful. So while this is a communist branch, Belgium never really had such a strong communist movement. This is more just to replicate game mechanics than it is actual politics. And then the royal intervention, who must appoint a leader. So if you go with the national unity here, next step will be royal intervention. So for those of you who don't know, it's been changed since, but early on the king, being a constitutional monarch, was curtailed but still wielded some power, more or less depending on the time period. And at this time, it was his duty, his prerogative, and his right to appoint the prime minister, who would then form a government. In this case, he can either appoint the historical option, Paul-Emile Janson, or the ahistorical monster, Léon de Grelle, who, fun fact, it is illegal by Belgian law to bring his mortal remains back into the country. Died in Spain, and he is to remain in Spain like the dog he is. And this is the historical path under Paul-Emile Janson, leading you down to an attempt at economic recovery. And if you last long enough, well, maybe you can get rid of that idiotic Belgian neutrality. One can only hope. Yeah, that was not a good idea. Oh, fun fact, the Dela plan here. This is the historical plan for the Allied defense of the Low Countries. Well, the Allied defense of Belgium, where the Belgian army would fight a delaying action, really, waiting for French and British forces to get into position along the Dila River, where they would hold the Germans and recreate World War I. It did not go as planned for a variety of reasons. Both Belgian incompetence, French incompetence, and the Dutch getting involved in the war as well. What this does in-game is actually interesting. It changes AI logic. If you take this focus, allegedly, it would persuade the French and British AI to actually commit more troops to your defense. Which, I mean, the AI is stupid, but it would help. And again, I'm glossing over a lot of this. I recommend, if you truly want to know the Power of Belgium, have a read the dev diary. I'll leave a link down below. It is really good. Trust me, it's really good. Even if you have no interest in ever playing Belgium, they put some work into this one. I'm not biased at all. Now, anyway, on to what is probably the most interesting part of the tree. What if you lose? Because it's not game over if you lose. No, we're getting a exile path, starting with the surrender of the king. So historically, the Belgian army was not, well, we were most definitely beaten, but the true problem was the king is and was supreme commander of all forces. And on his own, without consulting the government, without consulting the French or the British, he decided to surrender the army and order them to stand down, which is a bit of a problem if you're trying to coordinate with people. It did not help the Allied war effort, I should say. And this is where this all starts, immediately leading you to a choice, which the government did historically: declare the king unfit to reign, and then form a government in exile focused around the civilian government. Or we can do the alternate path, a prisoner king, trying to form some sort of resistance movement around that king, make him a symbol of resistance, symbol of unity with his people as he is held prisoner. Leopold was, and still is, a controversial figure in the country, so I don't know how much I like him being martyred like this, but yeah. I mean, this seems to be the path towards some sort of monarchist playthrough, which means I will have to do it. And I am here for monarchism, baby. Here for monarchism. Rally to the king. Yeah. Anyway, it's very nice that they put some thought into this. It's nice to have an ahistorical focus tree like this that focuses on what happens if you're defeated. There are several options here that do look like they might be interesting. And I think if they combine this with some interactions with Congo, the Belgian Congo, being a nation in exile might actually not be that boring. Yo, we all know the Dutch focus tree where you go into exile in the Dutch East Indies. That is actually one of the most fun paths to play. At least I think so personally. So if they can replicate that and refine that for Belgium, I know what I'm playing. I know what I'm playing for the next 6 months. Very much something I am looking forward to. And then De Grelle and his fascist dogs. So there are 2 flavors of fascism in Belgium because we are all about that apparently. If De Grelle is appointed by the king, he has 2 paths to go. One is where he supports the Rexists, which was his own party. So either we go with the Rexists, which leads to a somewhat more Belgium-focused path. So this whole thing leads to building up Belgium as Belgium. It's not about looking beyond the borders. It is making the state as powerful as it can be, using what is within the borders. And on this side, the VNV is about Duitsland, Greater Netherlands, I should really say. Belgica, the former province of the Roman Empire. So this is our expansionist fascist path, the VNV, and Rex over there is our not expansionist. Well, that's playing tall, this is playing wide. That's really the easiest way to say. Now, no matter what flavor of fascist you choose, the center branch is always available, and this seems to be where most of the buffs are gonna be. Looking at these things, I'm thinking if you play VNV, you're gonna have Mega Belgium real fast, Burgundy Rising. So this is probably the path you need to take to form Burgundy. While this side, the New Ruhr, seems to be about a very powerful industry instead of just spreading beyond your borders. Maybe if you're nice to Germany, they will give you some stuff when they roll through. All right, yeah, you can join the Axis apparently, or Strength and Brotherhood. I guess this is form your own faction. I'll have to give this a try, though it would pain me to see my beloved nation devolve into this again. Anyway, what if constitutional crises? We're good at those. So the constitutional crisis, Turtle Belgium. Well, we'll just build some more forts, and on top of those forts, we'll build additional forts. So this is, okay, this is what actually happened in the 90s. The king wants something. Parliament does not agree. So what Parliament does is bypass the king by declaring him unfit to rule, and then doing all of the things the king is supposed to do constitutionally on their own, because now he's unfit to rule. Let's put somebody else in his place, a regent who will then do those things. So this is what the constitutional crisis is all about. Get rid of the king and go full-on democracy, or, well, socialism. Blue or red, which is your choice. It ultimately leads down to either a ahistorical communist path, where the communist is more, it's not so much communism in the sense that these are, the Communist Party, these are just the socialists, but for gameplay reasons, it has to lean towards communism simply because of how factions work, because of how ideologies work. They're working on a very old groundwork, so they cannot go deeper into politics without a significant game rework, which would take a lot of time and effort that cannot be spent on other things. So yes, communist in the sense that you're getting Soviet help, but these were very much just the Social Democrats. On the other hand, the liberal victory, which leads to joining the Allies, but both have access to the Belgian Majino. We built forts, and then we built some more forts. Guess what? We can build mega forts. And no matter what we do, we also have the option to support the European project. Historically, Belgium is one of the founding members of the European Union. And what if we just form it a little early? A European community. Beautiful. It's the whole EU is just a massive scam to funnel money into Brussels. We're just that good at it. See, we have one Maginot, yes, but what if we had second Maginot? Oh, that looks so cool. That looks so cool. I want this. But you know what I also want? The mobile Maginot! Look at that thing! That's magnificent! That is a tank. Oh, I want it. I need it. I'm gonna devote a whole lot of time and resources getting me one of that. I need it. That's my Baneblade. And then the usually least interesting branch, communism. Like, this is the pure communist branch. In the sense, again, it's not truly communism. It just has to be for gameplay purposes. This is more the socialists being, socialist. Leads down to some very interesting interactions with Spain. We will be trying to support Spain. And quite, again, controversial opinions on Congo. This is not about bringing freedom and liberty. No. This is about telling people how to live and how to behave. So, again, controversial topics abound. But this seems to be focusing entirely or mostly on building up support for the communists and then either siding with the Soviets or doing your own thing as a founding member of the European Union and making a big red European Union. I can already smell it's going to be a red flag with stars instead of the blue one. But yeah, the options are there. This is definitely one of the less extensive branches, but it's there if you really want it. It's there. Now, despite Belgium being formally a neutral nation, this focus will actually allow us to use the volunteer system. So peacekeeping missions over here will allow us to send volunteers to Spain. It will allow us to send volunteers to China, wherever. It will be a good source of early XP, which is very powerful. The advisors. You know the fun thing about being Belgian? I recognize a lot of these names simply because so many of them have street names or squares named after them. And this is something I don't agree with. I can see his points, but I don't necessarily agree. Belgium's final weapon tech, so infantry equipment tech, is the FN FAL. We all know and love the FN FAL. It was a very ubiquitous weapon in NATO in the 50s? I think it's a bit early for late war. Gareth argues that considering Belgium's know-how in small arms manufacturing and the fact that the designs, etc., were finalized in 1947, if Belgium had not been occupied, the industry could have kept going, research could have kept going, they would have been exposed to the Sturmgewehr relatively early on and could have used that as a basis to build the FN FAL from. And for gameplay purposes, he cannot make it a later tech than this, so 1942 infantry equipment it is. That is his justification for putting the FN FAL as Belgium's infantry equipment. I disagree. Then again, we don't have any of our own designs of that period. We were mostly using British and American weapons, so if you want something truly Belgian for the focus for the game, fine. The FAL is the closest thing you're gonna get, and I still disagree. It's a weapon from the 50s. It doesn't belong in my World War II game. That said, it was incredible for its time. Stupidly heavy, but incredible. Many generals as well. That's a lot more than you start with now. And then many others whose name, again, I recognize for various reasons. Ooh, and we have pictures for the Chasseurs Ardennais. So they have that really floppy hat. Yes, the floppiest of hats. Let's see if I can zoom in. Yes. The floppy Chasseur hat and the Belgian, looks a bit like an Adrian helmet. Yeah, well, cool models. And that is about it. They have some excellent music commissioned for it. I hope I can listen to it soon. Usually the music tracks do go hard. And then a teaser here. Oh, this is Congo. This is... If Congo's next, that means, I'm gonna scroll all the way back up, that means this whole thing that is currently blurred out, that has to be, either it's the Belgian part of the Congo tree, or it is the, no, they wouldn't integrate Congo's tree into Belgium, no. This has to be like the colonial tree to handle the Congo. Anyway, that has been a quick look at my country of choice, my glorious Belgium. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want to read this yourself, I heartily recommend it. I'll leave a link down below. And if you want to pick up the DLC or any other Paradox games, I have a link down below to the Paradox store. It gets you a Steam key for the same price as Steam. The only difference is I get a little cut off the sale. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.